Imagine yourself in the 1980s, a time when Japanese motorcycles were beginning to shatter all the established norms. Amidst this groundbreaking revolution, the Suzuki GSX550 emerged with its forward-thinking design, inline four-cylinder engine, and a thunderous roar that caused even the priciest European motorcycles to quiver. Today, we're going to thoroughly delve into the narrative of one of the most underappreciated sport touring motorcycles of its time period. A motorcycle that emerged to leave a significant and enduring imprint. Although it went largely unnoticed during the illustrious decade of the 1980s, Japan not only led the global motorcycle market but had it entirely within its firm control. The major four manufacturers, Honda, Yamaha, Suzuki, and Kawasaki, continued to introduce new models at a rapid pace, as if they were producing popcorn in a fervent quest to discover what would become the next significant revolution in the realm of two-wheeled vehicles. The competition was incredibly fierce, almost reminiscent of a dramatic soap opera. Every brand was eager to demonstrate that it possessed the most cutting-edge technology, the highest velocity, and the most revolutionary design. All this happened without greatly draining the average buyer's wallet. Amid this relentless innovation, sports and touring motorcycles with medium and high engine displacement became the new competitive field. These bikes were made to be fast, comfortable, and not as pricey as a car. The Japanese manufacturers were eager to capture the attention of both the youthful enthusiasts and the seasoned veterans who were in search of something both practical and enjoyable. It was during the year 1983 that Suzuki made the strategic decision to initiate its offensive with a motorcycle designed to accomplish a variety of tasks and perform them exceptionally well, the GSX550EF. This remarkable machine was conceived with a distinct mission to compete in the highly competitive and already saturated segment of mid-size sport touring motorcycles, a field where Honda, Yamaha, and Kawasaki were already honing their strategies. Nevertheless, Suzuki certainly did not lag behind. They adorned the GSX-EF with an expansive fairing, incorporated technology that was quite uncommon within its category, and engineered it as a motorcycle capable of transporting you to your workplace during the weekdays while making you feel akin to a professional race pilot on Sundays. A sort of wolf in sheep's clothing, or more accurately, a sport touring motorcycle masquerading as an 80s futuristic spacecraft. If the GSX550 possessed anything, it was an undeniable presence. It certainly did not go unnoticed, and not merely because of its sound, but due to its quintessentially 80s design. A veritable time capsule on wheels that appeared as if it emerged from a low-budget science fiction film, yet with the spirit of a true champion. To start with, it featured a complete fairing, which was not particularly common in mid-size motorcycles during that period. This not only provided enhanced aerodynamics, but also imparted a larger and more assertive appearance than it truly possessed. It was as though Suzuki was declaring that it may not be 1,000 cubic centimeters, yet observe how stunningly beautiful it is. Moreover, that full fairing helped protect the rider from the wind, which was a great advantage for anyone who wanted to travel without ending up looking like a crumpled piece of paper. The straight angular lines truly epitomized the 1980s design DNA. There were no smooth curves or organic shapes present here. Everything was sharply edged and distinctly marked, resembling a transformer in its motorcycle mode. And positioned at the forefront, completing all that geometric design, you would discover the square-shaped headlight, a classic feature of the era that now appears retro and charming, yet at that time, it was the pinnacle of functional design. And upon mounting the motorcycle, you would encounter an unexpected surprise with the instrument panel, which in certain models featured digital indicators. This innovation was a novelty that gave you the sensation of being in a spaceship rather than merely on a motorcycle. While the competitors were still utilizing analog clocks reminiscent of World War II aircraft, the GSX was already showcasing data on a digital screen. This was considered a luxury for the year 1983. Furthermore, they did not overlook the passenger's experience. The dual-level seating configuration not only conformed to the angular design aesthetic, but also offered a satisfactory degree of comfort for both the rider and the passenger. It was certainly not a Goldwing, of course, but for a mid-range sport touring motorcycle, it was more than sufficient. Let's be completely honest. When you hear the name GSX550, you naturally anticipate encountering a motorcycle equipped with a 550cc engine, correct? Well, Suzuki deceived you, but it was for a valid reason. Because hidden beneath that designation was a 572 cubic centimeter engine. Nearly 600 cubic centimeters cleverly disguised as a medium-sized displacement. It was as if they intended not to intimidate anyone, yet still deliver a powerful performance. The core of the GSX-EF was a traditional inline four-cylinder engine from that era, featuring both air and oil cooling systems. What sounds like simple technology today was, at the time, an effective solution to keep the motorcycle at the right temperature without complicating the user's life. This engine was not solely focused on speed, it was engineered for durability. And let me tell you, it was not sluggish in the slightest. It generated approximately 64 horsepower at 10,000 RPM, which was remarkably impressive for a mid-sized engine during the 1980s. It was not a motorcycle that would tear your arms off like a ferocious two-stroke, but if you allowed it to breathe, it roared magnificently. The auditory experience at higher revolutions was a metallic symphony that delivered goosebumps to anyone who sincerely appreciates rotary engines. The torque stabilized at approximately 50 Newton-meters at 8,000 RPM, which delivered a smooth yet consistently reliable response. It wasn't the most aggressive in its segment, but it was among the most well-balanced, perfect for cruising without lacking when overtaking, and with that nostalgic 1980 sensation that the world belonged to you every time you downshifted 2 gears. Furthermore, it was outfitted with a 6-speed transmission system, a characteristic that not every motorcycle within the segment offered during that era. This transmission system enabled you to fully utilize the entire rev range, with seamless and accurate gear shifts that motivated you to consistently maintain the motorcycle above 7,000 RPM in order to extract the maximum performance from it. Indeed, this GSX was among those motorcycles that required you to ride it with genuine enthusiasm. And what about the top speed? Approximately 194 kilometers per hour, contingent on the wind conditions, the rider's bravery, and perhaps even how much pasta you consumed the previous day. During a time when achieving a speed of 200 kilometers per hour on a street motorcycle was considered quite a significant event, this Suzuki came remarkably close to reaching that milestone with its pure and unyielding 80s determination. When we delve into the topic of the Suzuki GSX-EF, a multitude of individuals tend to focus on the unique and characteristic 1980s design or the energetic and spirited engine. However, what truly made it extraordinary was what occurred beneath the fairing. Because this particular motorcycle, despite being engineered as a mid-size sport touring bike, was equipped with a variety of technological innovations that were not frequently observed in its category. To start with, the front suspension system was not a conventional fork. It showcased an anti-dive mechanism, a feature that during that era appeared as though it was borrowed from a spacecraft. What is that exactly? Essentially, it is a hydraulic mechanism that effectively prevented the motorcycle from diving abruptly during braking, which is ideal for maintaining stability and preventing the rider from experiencing the sensation that the bike was diving with each forceful brake application. In the rear section, Suzuki did not hold back and equipped the motorcycle with a floating-type suspension system featuring preload adjustment capabilities, which allowed the bike to be customized according to the rider's weight or if you were carrying a passenger. This translated into a significantly more comfortable and predictable riding experience, both within the city and on the open road. During a period when numerous motorcycles of its displacement were equipped with only the bare essentials, the GSX550 treated riders with exceptional care. Now let's talk about the braking system, which truly suited a bigger motorcycle. At the front, it had dual disc brakes with 2 calipers that effectively stopped this Japanese warrior. At the rear, there was an additional disc brake, whereas numerous motorcycles in its class were still utilizing drum brakes. This provided it with a highly respectable braking capability, particularly for a sport touring motorcycle from the 1980s. While it wasn't classified as a superbike, in terms of safety and control, it delivered performance akin to a larger motorcycle. All of these components were meticulously mounted on a double cradle tubular steel frame, which provided the motorcycle with exceptional structural rigidity and strength. This particular type of chassis not only offered remarkable stability in curves, but also demonstrated resilience for everyday use. It wasn't classified as a racing bike, but it possessed the structural integrity to accommodate the lively pace of a rider with a sporty spirit. And although by today's modern standards it might appear somewhat basic, during its era, the GSX550EF was indeed ahead of its time. It featured a collection of technical components meticulously designed to provide a well-balanced riding experience, ensuring comfort on the open road while still possessing the capability to perform admirably in a spirited session of curves. Despite all of its numerous technical virtues, its design that was ahead of its time, and that engine which roared with dignified power, the Suzuki GSX550 did not have an easy journey. Because naturally in the 1980s, it wasn't sufficient to merely create a good motorcycle. One had to stand out among tough competitors in this segment, the mid-displacement sport touring motorcycles. It was truly a vast sea full of predators. The initial significant hurdle was the intense competition. We are not discussing just any ordinary motorcycles here. The Honda CBX550 had already become an iconic model with its advanced encapsulated disc brake system, renowned brand prestige, and exceptional tuning. The Yamaha XJ opted for a more contemporary and pragmatic approach, whereas the Kawasaki Hippie Z gravitated directly towards the sporty aspect with a significantly more decisive and combative demeanor. Within that particular context, the GSX550 was akin to a conscientious student in a classroom filled with children who already possessed the skill to juggle with fire. Subsequently, the quandary of the intermediate displacement emerged because naturally, a 550, although it technically had 572 cubic centimeters, it was not sufficiently powerful enough to effectively compete against the 750, nor was it lightweight and accessible enough to contend with the 400, leaving it in a sort of no man's land. For those individuals seeking a motorcycle to begin with, it was too large and serious. And for those who wanted performance to the limit, it fell short compared to the beasts with more displacement. It was like that soccer player who has technique, vision, and grit. However, they never included it because it just doesn't fit any specific category. To make things worse, Suzuki made a small strategic mistake. The distribution network for the GSX550EF was pretty limited, even though it sold fairly well in Europe, especially in Germany and the United Kingdom. Its presence in alternative markets was exceedingly limited. In Japan, it was somewhat more noticeable, but in America it was scarcely observed. This made it largely unfamiliar outside of those particular countries. And we understand that in this world, what isn't visible doesn't exist. So, even though it possessed remarkable quality, innovative design, and advanced technology, the unfortunate GSX-EF ultimately became one of those hidden gems that shine quietly in the background. Meanwhile, its competitors were adorning magazine covers and transforming into workshop posters. The Suzuki continued to be a closely guarded secret among those who were truly in the know. Similar to those rock albums from the 1980s that only dedicated collectors genuinely appreciate. Yet, precisely due to that, it now holds a unique and special place in the hearts of those who truly know. Because it wasn't the most renowned or the top-selling, but it was distinctive, it was audacious, and it was Suzuki. Being Suzuki signified being bold, technical, and possessing a style that didn't merely follow trends, it established them.